Anyway, okay, so you know sailing ships, the ones that have existed since 3000 BC. Well, one of the world's largest shipping companies, Mitsui OSK Lines, have unveiled a new and innovative ship using amazing wind technology called the Wind Hunter. The Japanese company said, what if we could make the ultimate zero-emission seagoing vessel to reduce greenhouse gases? Sounds good, right? The only problem with this net zero sail ship is that the cargo is 90,000 tonnes of coal from Australia bound for Japan. The irony, impeccable. It's a nice idea to go back to the days of sails on the sea, and we should always be striving to make technology more powerful and efficient. But the question is, are we going forwards or backwards? Here to break this down with me is editor of The Spectator Australia, Alexandra Marshall. Alexandra, is this the first ship of its kind?
Sadly, not the first hybrid cargo ship, but there's a whole little batch of them that these people are producing in order to make themselves feel better about the emissions of the global shipping industry, which transports about 90% of all of global's goods. The problem is, of course, that the age of sail, whilst wonderful, was not the most efficient form of transport, which is why it ended up becoming the age of coal-powered and steam-powered vessels. But now all of our really intelligent shipbuilders have decided, let's take those great efficient vessels and put giant sails on them. They call it the Wind Challenger, which is basically just a giant 60-meter line or pole on the front of the ship, which is designed to lower their emissions by 5%, which is a huge amount.
And what happens if there's no wind? And happy Australia Day, mate, by the way. It's a good accent. I like it.
That's a terrible accent, but thank you very much for the Happy Australia Day. Basically, there's two problems. One is, what if there's no wind, which happens all the time? And that's why they've got these hydrogen fuel cells inside the ships, which take up a huge amount of space. So at some point, you're basically a ship transporting giant sails, rather than picking up 90,000 tonnes from Australia. And the other thing is, what happens if there's too much wind? And these ships, the captain of the first hybrid, which is actually called the Shofumaro, which is their little test version of this, he was saying that they can't really see out the front of it and it's a little bit unstable, which is what happens when you put a giant sail in the front of your cargo ship. So I wouldn't say this is exactly a step forward, but it is a step forward for this green ideology where they're trying to solve the wrong problems.
It sounds like a complete greenwashing and ridiculousness. But look, most importantly, does Australia deserve its own day?
Of course we deserve our own day. It's often forgotten that Australia is one of the most peaceful civilizations in the planet's history. As far as all the wars and the way cultures mix, Australia had an exceptional run in our history, and we should be very proud of what we've achieved here. But we've had the Marxists in here for the last 20 years, and they've decided the best way to celebrate Australia is to divide us by race and then start trying to tax us. So yesterday we had people calling for a race-based tax, and one of our senators declared war on the taxpayer. So that was our day yesterday. You think you've got problems? Australia has far more problems than you do.
It's really nice of them to do that the day before they celebrate their own country day. Is Western civilization ever going to recover?
Well, we're not going to recover if we keep building sailing ships to pick up coal. I mean, if we can't get our hypocrisy sorted out in technology, then we're no longer going to be the empire of enlightenment. Now, we have to remember, we built our civilization on common sense and wonderful technical solutions and the primary part of science and philosophy. And now we've got some of the worst philosophy going around in modern history. We've picked up socialism and collectivism and Marxism, which is, it's basically a virus for civilization. And we're not building anything productive, so we're going backwards. We have to get out of whatever this little phase is we're going through. It's not going to end well.
I agree with you. I think it probably takes us all the way back to education. What we're trying to do stuff in education in the UK is starting young. How do Australia treat their young people in school?
We tell our young children to hate Australia to basically not learn anything except for activism. Our kids can recite multiple hashtags and glue themselves to various parts of the tarmac, but they can't answer any kind of philosophical or technical debate on anything. And they've got degrees in completely useless fields of study. So it's not looking good. If we're going to save this culture, then we're going to have to start educating our children, maybe even ourselves, because the school system is full of activists and most of them have failed at their own profession. So we've got failures teaching our children to hate each other, which is never a good start.
Well, let's hope that Australia, by next Australia Day, is a happier place. Thank you so much for joining me, Alex.